right, welcome everybody. Before we get started, you should be hearing me right now. We got two audio options. Choose one of them if you can't. Hopefully people are understanding where I'm going with this. This webinar is being recorded, so just know that as we go forward. And if you have any questions, please log your questions in the box on the lower right-hand side in the little tray there. So welcome everyone to Veolia's webinar on Aquavista for the mining market. My name is Kevin Heeman, and I have the pleasure of presenting to you today a little bit about myself so that you don't feel like you're talking to a complete stranger. I graduated from the University of Pittsburgh a while ago. I started my career in the chemical plants industry, producing various forms of polystyrene. From there, I moved into the environmental consulting business, where I designed and built and commissioned various environmental remediation systems. About 10 years ago, I had the opportunity to join Veolia as a project engineer. Since then, I've held a variety of different positions, including project manager, engineering manager. And the role I'm in right now, I get to work on developing our Aquavista platform. So let's talk about digitalization for a second and how it's changing the world. So back in the 2016-2017 timeframe, there were really four big waves that started to roll out in the realm of digitalization. First was the Internet of Things. We've all heard about it. What really facilitated this is you had 800 and some operators getting together and agreeing on a standard for the use of IoT on their networks. This made transmission of data much, much easier than it had been before. Second, artificial intelligence. We've all heard of artificial intelligence, but at this time frame, you had Google and their software beat the champion of Go. So a very complex game was basically computers were beaten by people, which was pretty amazing. Also, you have these different collaborative platforms starting to see a very high valuation. So you have Uber at this point in time being valued at $68.5 billion. You have Airbnb being valued at $30 billion. And for Airbnb, it was valued higher than Hilton Hotels was at the time. And then lastly, you've got robotics. And robotics keeps growing in our industry. You can see it in manufacturing, even robots in the home, vacuuming our floors, and these autonomous cars nowadays. So these four waves have sort of led to what we're calling the digital revolution. And it's a major phenomenon in industry today. So how does digitalization benefit water treatment operations? So first, it benefits it by reducing risk, by lowering risk, allowing people to make better decisions, more proactive decisions, rather than being reactive. In addition to that, it reduces operating costs. If you can control your plant tighter through digitalization, you can reduce your cost using less chemicals, using less energy, by using a tighter algorithm to control your process. Also increases compliance. Better alarming, better management of data, keeps your plant operating within the levels it should, and reduces your chance of an exceedance, keeps you within compliance for your permit. Also capital expenditures. If you have a tighter control, better control system, better understanding of how the system works, you can take a little bit of that safety factor out of your design, have smaller equipment, and reduce your capital cost accordingly. And then lastly, sustainable behaviors. You take all of this into account, you're producing a smaller environmental footprint, which leads to a more sustainable system. So the reason I think you're all here is, what is Aquavista? Well, Aquavista is Veolia's digital tool designed by water treatment experts. It's something we developed for the water treatment industry with our experts. And when we talk about Aquavista, there's four main offerings that are part of that package, part of those digital services. And we're going to go through each of those now. The first is Portal. Portal is our remote monitoring and reporting tool. Portal is great because it can be accessed from anywhere, from any device that's connected to the internet and has a web browser. So that means a smartphone, a tablet, a PC, doesn't matter. If it has an internet connection, it can access the data that's available in Portal. All the data is stored up in the cloud, and you can use it to manage multiple sites, and you get it all on one web service. Within Portal, you have a lot of different features. You can access all the documentation for your facility. That can be O&M manuals, it can be data sheets, it can be reports. Whatever you choose can be housed within Portal. All the information that comes from your PLC or your programmable logic controller is migrated up into the cloud, it's read up into the cloud, and is available through Portal. You have full alarm management as well. So what this means is that you can set different thresholds for different I/O, for different instrumentation that's brought up into the cloud, into Portal, and the system will tell you when there's an exceedance or where there is an alarm and send you an alert. And it'll send you the alert either via text message or via email, your choice, to whomever you choose at that time. So you can have the alarm sent to people that need to react or need to take note that something has occurred. Additionally, it puts the data right at your fingertips, which is just great, because you can look at data in different ways. You can pull in data, as we see here. We got one graph of some analytical there. It shows it over time, going back in time, and then you can add a second graph to it, or a second variable to it. So you can see the difference that occurs, or see when maybe one variable leads to a change in another variable. You got full process data management, so you just get to see it all. You can get that data into Portal in a variety of ways. The main way is that it's read it from the PLC. But when you operate a water treatment plant, you get data from very places. You have field reports where your operators go out, do their rounds, maybe take some measurements, make some field observations. That can be input into data, into the Portal. You also have lab analytical that you either do in an on-site lab or you send it out. That information can be put into the Portal. And it can be done in two main ways. One, you can hard code it. You can actually type in what it is, which is best for field reports and the like. But then you can also read up an Excel spreadsheet, for instance, or a CSV file can be read up into Portal. And then you can customize reports to get back out of Portal. So if you have an environmental report that you have to issue monthly, you can set up Portal to automatically give you that information. And it can compile not only the PLC information, but it can compile the PLC information along with the field reports that you inputted, along with the lab data. And you can have it customize that report, saves you time, saves you money, and puts it out there so that you can easily make use of it. And it will do simple KPIs as well. What do I mean by KPIs? Key Performance Index. Number of gallons treated per day. Something that a manager could look at and say, okay, I look at it, yep, we're in the right realm there as far as gallons treated per day or percent uptime. I have comfort level that this plant is operating as it should. So you don't have to know everything about the plant. You set up some simple KPIs, and now anybody can go in there and see what's going on. Next package is Insight. Insight is our data-driven performance optimization tool. Okay, so what does that mean? This is kind of taking KPIs and going beyond that point. You have your typical KPIs that it will calculate, for instance, chemicals per gallon treated, but it can take it like a step further and tell you, okay, how many dollars does it take? What's the cost per gallon treated? What is my percent uptime of my system over a week or a month or longer? And then you get an added benefit, because Veolia has aggregated this data across many sites. You can benchmark your equipment versus other equipment in the industry. So for instance, you have an ActiFlow, you want to make sure that it's running optimally. you can compare that to other active flows in the same industry of the same size. And then lastly, it helps you predict the future. It has predictive tools to allow you to make better decisions, better business decisions when it comes to operating your facility. Third, we have Plant. Aquavista Plant is our online smart control system. So what do we mean by that? It means process optimization. We have a system that has various modules, or a program rather, various modules, and you pick out the modules based on what kind of treatment equipment you have, whether it's anaerobic, aerobic, physical chem, and then the modules are designed to help you facilitate some kind of goal for that facility. So if you want to optimize your OpEx, there's modules for that. If you want to optimize your capacity, there's modules for that. And these modules have very powerful algorithms that monitor what's going on in your facility, and then they do what's called dynamic set point control, where they will change the set points within the PLC to further optimize the operation of your facility. It can give you a fully automatic kind of autopilot function where you say to it, okay, I want to reduce OpEx. I don't care about anything else. I don't care about capacity in my system or maybe maximum throughput. All I want to know is get the lowest operating cost for my facility. And what Plant will do is it'll continually monitor all the variables, and then it'll start changing set points such that that dollars per gallon treated starts to go down as much as possible, while somewhat possibly ignoring capacity or throughput through the system. It just sort of lowers it as much as it can. And it does this all online, does it in the cloud with communication back and forth to the PLC. And in addition to that, it allows you to do some forecasting. So you can kind of look into the future and say, okay, how much longer can I run before a CIP? How much longer before I need to order chemicals? And it'll clue you into that information. Again, helping you make good decisions, having the system make some of those decisions for you. Next, we have Assist. Assist is Veolia's ability to bring the customers our experts. So this is process support. This is our water treatment experts giving support and troubleshooting assistance to the operators in the field. So you have some advanced tools that we use, smart glasses, tablet PLCs, communicating back and forth. And this allows our customers to reach out to Veolia and get the assistance they need in real time. And that's the real benefit here, is that because we have all the data in the cloud, it allows Veolia's process experts to very quickly diagnose a problem if there is it, or look at the data and offer advice if it's necessary. And our customers are liking this offering. They like this offering because they're noticing a recent change in their workforce. I mean, all companies, I think, are getting hit. We could all agree all companies are getting hit with a higher level of turnover, especially at the operator level. And the new operators, the younger staff of operators, don't have the same skill set. They have a much reduced skill set that some of the older water treatment operators had. And because of this turnover, because of this lack of skills, you also have a lack of water treatment experience, and they haven't operated water treatment plants in the past. So they're relying on Veolia to give them that additional safety net, that additional process support. So they can call on Veolia and say, okay, Veolia, here's my system, it's acting funny, please look at the data and tell me what's going on. And then Veolia can offer some additional expertise in that regard. So those are our 4 offerings within Aquavista. We have some case studies now to review to see how our customers have used these offerings and how it may benefit you. So this first reference here is for an active flow unit. It's a customer that has an active flow unit, and what's unique about this unit is that it's not where the rest of their facility is. It's kind of on the back 40, so to speak. So it's not where an operator or somebody can look at it regularly is. And the customer uses it as a way, uses Aquavista Portal as a way for checking in on the system and seeing how it's working remotely. And again, they can do it with any device from anywhere. It allows them to have full alarm management, And because this system is remote and because it does require a little bit of attention, they can keep all of their service orders in one place. Everything that's been serviced on this system, the records are within Aquavista portal. And then they also get the ability to book new appointments online. So a couple clicks on a tablet, let's say, or a smartphone, and they can ask for more services and get more services for their equipment or more chemicals when the alarms go out. Just to give you an idea of how simple it is, for this particular review, if any one of these green items turned yellow or red, it would tell you that there's an alarm, and then you could click on one of them, and it'll tell you what the alarm is and what the threshold is, and then you can decide what to do about it. And it's really that simple. You would see this on any of the devices we talked about. The next one is another operation for Portal. This is another system here. This is a MBBR, which is a biological system followed by an ActiFlow, like in the previous one. This customer utilized utilized Portal because they were concerned about the training aspect of it. They're concerned about controlling all the documentation. They loved the dashboard, the one view. It allowed them not to have to walk down to the water treatment facility or call up an HMI screen. They could just very simply take a look at what's going on in the system, and they could use it for training. And they had training videos in Aquavista Portal, so if they had new employees or they needed to fresh up on some skills on how to operate the facility, they could watch the visual documentation we had, and they could learn of their system that way, manage their system that way. The last one, or not, sorry, not the last one, but this particular one, soft drink producer, had an issue with their ultrafiltration system. Their ultrafiltration system was not performing as they had expected. It was requiring frequent CIPs called clean in place, where they were cleaning the membranes frequently. And what they were also seeing was that kind of unexpectedly a dramatic increase in pressure across the ultrafilters. And because of that, it was threatening that they were going to have to replace these way sooner than what was expected. So what they did is they purchased Portal, Insight, and Assist. So they got Portal in there, and then they got through Assist, they got Veolia in there to be able to see what was going on. And Veolia was able to look at the operation of the system because they had anywhere, anytime access. They were looking at things in real time, and they were just determining what was causing these spikes and when these spikes in delta P increase were occurring, and they were able to customize a CIP regimen for this customer, such that it greatly increased the life of their membranes. So rather than what they thought they'd have to change them out every 8 to 12 months, they actually went 2.5 years before they needed changed out. And this did two things. One, the membranes lasted longer, but this also got rid of a very lengthy outage for this customer. Outages that could have taken 5 to 8 days to change out the membranes, could they have fouled to a point that a CIP didn't clean them up. So this customized CIP routine that was brought together by Portal and Assist helped this customer, help their customer's plant last longer than it would have. So this next case study is for Aquavista Plant. Now remember, Plant is the automatic control, the system that you set up, what are your priorities, and it will control that priority for you. This customer was replacing existing equipment with new equipment, so they had a new process coming up. And because they used Aquavista Plant, they were able to right size that equipment. Remember, they took some of the safety factor out because they had the tighter control. And because they were able to make the equipment smaller, the large benefit here is that the equipment was able to fit where their previous equipment fit. So they didn't have to develop new space or move equipment around. They were able to do kind of a replacing kind of equipment, newer equipment, but they were able to right size it. You didn't have that big safety factor you got to put on for swings and differentials and flow rate. They were able to do it directly into where the system sat before. So again, this is reducing the OPEX and CAPEX of equipment, the cost of equipment to get things where they should be. Okay, so Aquavista, implementation comes to mind next, and how do you implement it? And of course, security comes to mind. That's one of our customers' main concerns. We often talk about security, especially because, oh, it's going in the cloud. How do I know that my data is secure? How does my data get there secure? So at the physical level, at the plant level, we use devices that secure the data via TLS encryption. And it does that as the data is gathered and then transmitted to the cloud, keeping it very secure. We also use Amazon Web Services as our cloud host, one of the biggest companies in the world, fully secured network that they have, so that we don't have to worry about it getting hacked. It's got to the highest degree possible standard-wise for security. And then lastly, you have user access management at the actual cloud services area, at the portal level, where you have user access. You give user access to the people that need it, and you can change and manage that access as a customer as you see fit. So you have basically from the device all the way out in the field, and that data going all the way up in the cloud and then down to somebody's desktop. You have multiple layers of security to keep that data secure. And this methodology can be customized on a customer's preference. If they have a different protocol, a different way they'd like to see the security put in place, Veolia can adjust their offering such that we can meet that level of security. So let's talk about implementation and what it takes to implement, or rather integrate this system. So it's very flexible in how we put it together. It is software as a service. So it is a yearly or monthly subscription fee, depending on which the customer is more comfortable with. It is based on basically the number of I/O. So bigger facilities, it takes a little more programming, so it'll have a higher cost than smaller facilities. Also the complexity of the facilities. If you have a very complex plant that's going to require multiple screens versus a simple plant that maybe is the same screen copied, it can make a difference. And then the number of plants connected. You know, there is economies of scale, and that can affect the price. Also, you have whether or not Aquavista Assist is added as an add-on offer, and what level of support you want from Veolia in that Assist offering. Do you want 24/7 access to a process engineer just in case, versus we just want a monthly report telling us how we're doing and what we need to do better to make our system better. We can customize that offering. Also, the type of plant, or rather the status of the plant, doesn't matter as much either. So if it's an existing facility that you already have processing treatment available, whether it's Veolia's or others, we can add our hardware to that system quite easily. And as long as it's using common protocols, quite easily take that and put it up into the cloud and make it part of Portal. It does not necessarily need to be Veolia equipment, and it doesn't matter the age of the system or the protocol that's used if it's a common protocol. And then for new plants and new equipment, especially with Veolia equipment, it's just as easy, except it can come pre-installed. We don't have any wiring in the field, even though the wiring is very minimal. And then the type of project doesn't matter to Veolia either. If it's an EP or a DB project, it's a brand new project that's being produced, Aquavista can be included in that offering, including the subscription fee as well. So a brand new facility, whether it's we're just supplying equipment as part of an EP to an EPC provider, or it's a full DB where Veolia is doing the construction as well, Aquavista can be added to that. And we could also use it on a DBO where Veolia is operating, so design, build, operate project. And that's great because then the customer and the operations group of Veolia can be using the same data system. So the customer sees what Veolia sees. The customer sees, and they're working off the same data set, so to speak. It facilitates for good communication. So in closing, Aquavista is Veolia's digital tool designed and developed by water treatment experts. And that's important to understand. It's not a one-size-fits-all system. It's customized, and it's developed by water treatment experts. So you're not hiring an integrator to give you a system that they think is what you want to look at, and it turns out that it may or may not be what you need. This is by water treatment experts that are telling you, hey, we really think you need to look at the data in this way because we've looked at it in that way multiple times. It gives you the full overview of equipment and plant from a remote location. Again, access to all your documentation, so no more looking for O&M manuals across this person's desk or up in the file server here, or calling the people that put the plan together for you in the first place to send them to you. You have access to them where you need them. Again, anywhere, anytime, access from any device. Crucial for with the busy lives, people traveling. Highly flexible in our offering. It will improve your assets performance, lower your CapEx and OpEx as we talked before, increase compliance, and as you saw on the previous slides, we have hundreds of references, hundreds of systems already on Aquavista today, and Veolia is ready to be your digital partner. So that is it. Jill, do we have any questions?
Yep. Thank you, Kevin. Yeah, we do have a couple questions that came in, and before I read those, just a quick reminder, if you do have a question, feel free to ask those to the right-hand side. There is a question box, so go ahead and feel free to enter those, and we will try to get to as many questions as possible here as time allows. The first question that we've received is it possible to get just one of the 4 offers without getting the others?
Yeah, good question. Maybe I glossed over this too much. Yes, with the exception of Portal. Portal is necessary for all of the other offers. So you need to have Portal in order to have Insight, Assist, or Plant. And the reason is that the data is really critical. So having the data allows us to do those other 3 offers. So you need to have Portal so that the data comes from the plant and gets up into the cloud, and then so that we're all looking at the data the same way, you have to generate the back end where you can see the data and then analyze the data. Otherwise, you really can't do Assist, and you certainly can't do Assist very effectively, and then Plant and Insight won't work without that. So good question.
Great. Another question that came in as well is, how long does it take to implement Portal?
Well, okay, just like the price, it depends on the complexity of the project. So the way it would start was that after an offer is accepted and we've got kind of the general framework of what we'll be providing together, the first thing we would do is take a look at that what's asked to be provided, and then we would meet with the customer. We would have what we call a stakeholders meeting and meet with the compliance engineer or the head operator, let's say, plant manager, and discuss in detail what they want to see and have provided in Portal. Then Veolia would go and program Portal, put things together, maybe exchange some information, make sure they agree with the way things are going and the way things are looking. And then we would mobilize to site, install our devices, which is very small. It's usually 1, maybe 2 devices inside a PLC panel for typical systems. And then we would make sure that it works, make sure the data goes to the cloud, make sure the data comes back down from the cloud, and that everybody's satisfied, perform some training on site. And then what we like to do is do training, a second training later, webinar-like, because additional questions arise. Now, start to finish, typical project, you're looking at 3 to 4 months, maybe a little bit longer if it's a very complex facility, but not very long at all, from the time you say go to the time you have an operating Portal for your plant.
Great. Another good question that just came in as well. What about hardware support at remote locations? Not just from site to town, but when a town is 150 miles away from any city.
So this is Noel Munkovich. I'm the IoT technical expert for digitalization in the Americas. The answer is it doesn't really matter where the location is. We can tie it in. All we have to have is some way to get to the internet. We can use cellular if we need to. We can use hardware connections, wired or whatever. So yeah, as long as we can get some sort of internet connection, either hardwired or cellular at the location, we can connect it.
Yep, thanks for the assist there, Noel.
Sure.
And we are just about out of time here, but we did have a couple questions come in about where can you watch this presentation again, and can you get a copy of the PowerPoint presentation? And the answer to that is yes. As soon as we are done with this, we will be sending out a recording of the presentation for you, so feel free to access that again at your leisure. And feel free to contact either Kevin or Noel here, although I don't believe we've sent out Noel's info, but feel free to contact us, Kevin's info, or to my email as well, and we'd be happy to follow up with any other questions that you guys may have. So, with that, thank you very much, and thank you, Kevin, as well.
No problem. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
We hope that you enjoyed today's webinar.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Okay. Who talked?